How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another Iron Faith live coaching session. I'm here to help answer any questions you guys might have. And I posted the link to my online merch store. It's only open till February 9th. So if you're ever wondering, hey, I want to get an Iron Faith singlet, Iron Faith t-shirt, hat, we have the link posted down at the bottom over on the chat. But I'm going to open up the academy, my online academy, start answering questions. You guys can feel free to ask questions in the chat as well. We got the season ending pretty soon, though, for a lot of people, right? We got state championships coming up. So super excited to help you guys peak at the right time and get all your questions answered. Let me just get to my questions. All right. So Ashton is asking about wrist control. I know how to counter wrist control on bottom, but I was wondering, how do you do it when you're in neutral? So when you're in neutral and your opponent grabs your wrist like this, you need to clear your wrist. The technique to do so, Ashton, is, if you guys notice, when somebody grabs your wrist, the point where the finger meets the thumb is the point where your wrist can slip free. So you can pull your wrist through that. You want to line the thinnest part of your wrist with the gap right here. Then you're looking to pull your arm or your arm through that position to free your wrist. If you guys watch my ham fighting video I have on YouTube, it's my biggest video yet. That goes into detail on all the different ways to clear ties. But in general, the technical side to clearing a wrist when somebody grabs it in the neutral position, turn your wrist so the thin part is right here, bend your arm and pull your wrist through there. Normally my opposite hand is also attacking my opponent's wrist. Okay. Let me so I gotta refresh or something. All right. So next question. Junsu is asking about fireman's carry. Okay, I don't know if any of you guys like the fireman's carry, but he's saying, where should my shooting hand be during a fireman's? Should it be in the crotch, the hamstring, or the calf? I think it's somewhat preference. In general, when I'm shooting a fireman's carry or a high crotch, I'm attacking up to the hips. But it's not that big of a deal if you snake the leg either. In general, the reason why I attack with a high crotch or a fireman's carry up to the hip position is if I have my lock or my hands lower down on the leg, when they go to sprawl, you'll get extended a lot more. So if you can shoot your fireman's carry up to the hip, when they go to sprawl, your arm doesn't get extended because it's right where the hip is. If your hand was down to, say, the ankle, when they go to sprawl, that arm's going to get extended and you're not going to be in great position. So that's my recommendation with the fireman's carry or the high crotch, is shooting up to the hip position. And the questions I'm answering right now are inside the online academy that I have. If you guys haven't joined that, make sure you join that. If you need me to post a link for that, let me know. You can also just ask your questions in the chat. So the next question I got is on bottom. Taylor's asking, she's stuck on bottom, can't get up, not sure where to start. Does anyone have any tidbits that elevated their escape in bottom game? I've been working on sitting out back and forth and hitting a switch here and there, but I'm not sure what the best way to go when it comes to escaping/reversing. I recently watched one of Bo Nickel's match reviews. So Bo Nickel has been doing match reviews on his YouTube channel of all of his old matches. Not all of them, obviously, but he goes into one of the videos, I think the second to last video he made, explaining his escape method. And all he did was, quad pod stand up, get to his feet. He stayed on his feet, and then he got the escape. When I say stay on his feet, he didn't get mat returned. So once he got to his feet, he was using his hands. He was using his hands to block his opponent from circling around them. So you take your hands, you post on your opponent's legs so they can't circle to the side of you to lift you. He was also using his own legs to hook his opponent's legs. So when his opponent tried to mat return him, his opponent wouldn't be able to lift him off the mat. And then after, 10 or so seconds, his opponent just let him go. So my recommendation, or before I finish off, actually, he then went on to explain that the best way to get out, which is what I believe as well, is get to your feet and stay on your feet. And in general, the tripod stand up is, in my opinion, the best stand up, but there's different, depending on the situation, you might be standing up differently. But once you get to your feet, you stay on your feet. You're not allowing them to mat return you. Ideally, you didn't let them lock their hands in the first place, so you can get an easy escape. But if they do lock their hands, you're not letting them mat return you. You're staying balanced. And a lot of times they'll just cut you free, because if they don't mat return you quick enough, they'll end up getting a stall call. And he also went on to make a comment, which I kind of believe is, he's not doing all these fancy Gramby, switch, rolls. He's just standing up to his feet and staying on his feet. Now, not to say that the Granby and the switch and these other techniques aren't great. They're just not, they should not be your go-to attacks or stand-ups. Think of like neutral. Your go-to takedown in neutral shouldn't be some weird throw, right, that you only can get to in certain situations. It should be something, it should probably be a single, a double, a high crotch, a low single, something like that. Something that's going to be more high percentage. So what I recommend on bottom is a tripod stand up, get to your feet, be good at not getting mat returned, and a lot of times they're going to cut you and let you go. I wonder if I might at some point might be able to do a live stream where I can show you guys some videos. I think that would be pretty helpful, where I can show you maybe some of the escapes I did in the past. But that's my recommendation to Taylor. Right now, you guys, for the next 55 minutes, I'm going to be answering questions, anything related to wrestling, coaching. So feel free to ask. I'm answering the questions inside my academy first, then I'll get to you guys. All right. All right. Chuck is asking, my son is a freshman and was injured, broken collarbone on Halloween. Got an injury, all right? One of his issues is if he gets flattened out, he would keep his head down and try to do a push-up to get up. Then he tried bringing his leg up and was getting cradled. He is trying to learn how to quadpod, but his team does not use it at all. I've been working with him when he's flattened out. I suggest to keep his head up, arms in front of him, about shoulder width apart, and start building up from there, pushing back, ideally to one side. Okay, so there's another bottom question. Chuck saying, hey, my son is getting flattened out. He's getting put to his stomach, and he can't escape. I don't know if some of you guys have been in the same position where you got put to your stomach and you're not able to build your base. Here's some of the tricks that I use. And actually, one of my old coaches, like coaches at Iron Faith, not my personal coach, he would explain to our wrestlers, when he's on his stomach, as he builds his base, it's super important that they don't get your wrist. So you're flat on your stomach, you're starting to try to bring your knees up and build from flat to your base position. You need to make sure they don't get your wrist. And the trick he would do is he would put his palms up towards the ceiling and turn his hands out like this. And it made it very difficult for people to reach in and grab his wrist. When just naturally, when your palms are in, your arms kind of come in towards your stomach. And anytime when you're on bottom and your arms come in towards your stomach, the top person is going to be able to grab your wrist. So as you build up, it's important to keep your forearm, especially the upper part, your wrist, away, like outwards. All right, not too far out where they can kind of scoop an arm bar, but pretty far out. Okay. And then another big thing people have an issue with when building their base, and I actually can probably show you guys this. Might as well make it a little interactive. So I gotta turn the lights on to the club. All right. I'll bring you guys to the Iron Faith facilities. Okay. I'm gonna teach you guys how to build your base from flat real quick. You gotta take the shoes off. All right. So when you guys are flat and you want to build your base, first off, you don't want them to get your wrists. So I like putting my hands out like this. You can keep your hands to the mat, but you got to make sure your arms are out. Then from here, you're not doing a push-up. So you don't want to come from here to push up to your base. You want to bring your knees up and keep your chest low to the mat as you push up and get to this position. So you're working your lower body and your upper body as you kind of seal off and build your base. That's that question. All right. I feel like my chat's not working too. Let me see real quick. No, it should be good. All right. Let me get back to my questions real quick. But yeah, that's how you build your base. Okay. Super important, but in general, I'm never even touching my stomach in the first place. So it's normally not really an issue. Let's see what else we got. All right. Steven is asking, Steven's asking, is the outside tie elbow control a good go-to tie-up? Personally, it's a decent one, but I actually don't think it's, I wouldn't, if I was to rank tie-ups, I would not put the elbow tie as a very high ranked tie-up. The reason being is because you don't have inside control and your opponent has a lot of different options they can do. Now, there are some great athletes that are really good at the elbow tie. Oklahoma State's really known for doing elbow tie ducks, but I think it's fine. I think you guys should figure out what types you like. But I don't think it's as good as like an inside tie, a collar tie. I think inside tie, collar ties, I think underhooks are all better than the elbow tie. All right. All right. Heather's asking, how should I go about learning to scramble and adding it into my system? I don't know if some of you guys are scramblers, but all scrambling is it's defensive techniques against it's how to defend a shot. Everything pretty much but a sprawl. You got sitting in the corner, you got funk rolls, you got far toe scrambles. So all I would do is just learn the techniques just like I would any technique. So scrambling cannot be random. It's actual techniques, just like you learn a single, double, or a high crotch. So if you guys want to learn to be a good scrambler, you guys have to put technique behind it. Don't make it random. Find the techniques that work for you. Pick certain positions that you like to force. Maybe you want to go for a leg pass. I think the funk rolls are a little bit less common nowadays because in college, when you funk roll, you're exposing your back, and they have a new, not that new rule, but in college, if you're on your back for, I think more than like 4 or 5 seconds, they get the takedown, even if they don't even have control. So I think the funk roll is becoming less of a technique, less of a common technique. All right. And what's up, Elior? Sorry if I butchered your name. Okay. Answering some more questions. All right. Mark's asking about the low single. I don't know if any of you guys like the low single. He's saying, what are some different ways to set the low single up? My personal favorite way to set up a low single was with an elbow pass. So I would elbow pass and I would fake a high crotch and then I would drop right to a low single. I think the elbow pass gets you a really good angle. And when you attack a low single, you want to attack it at an angle. So when you guys shoot a low single, say you're attacking this single, you want to hit the low single on an angle. You don't want to shoot straight into my leg. You want to get to the side of me and attack me coming in like this with your head, on the knee or a little bit above the knee. So the elbow pass or some sort of misdirection where you go to one leg and then shoot to the other is a great way to attack the leg from the side instead of straight on. So that's what I recommend, Mark, for your low singles. All right. Riley's afraid of shooting. If you're afraid of shooting, you got a couple of pieces of advice if you guys are afraid of shooting. One, you got to get better technically at finishing shots, at shot recovery as well, which means like if the takedown's not there, kind of getting out and getting to your feet. Second, some other tricks you can do is pick a practice partner you're much better than, build some confidence on them first before you start wrestling kids that are better. If you are constantly shooting on a kid twice as good as you and they keep taking you down, you're going to continue to lose confidence in your shots. So confidence comes from success, I think. Success. There's other ways confidence comes into play, but I remember I had a goal to be a national champ. I wanted to be a Division I national champ, and I would say I believe it. This is my goal, but the confidence didn't really come first before I started winning. I started winning, beating All-Americans, beating national finalists, and then I was like, oh, I can do this. The confidence came after. So if you're afraid or you lack confidence in your takedowns, you need to get some takedowns. So you need to grab a practice partner that you're better than and get some takedowns and build that confidence in your shots. But technically, I would get better at shot recovery and at takedowns as well. Okay. All right. Give me a second. All right. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I know we got states coming up. We had our middle school state championships. And let me know if the audio is too loud as well. Shift it down. I don't really know. Gotta make sure my audio is on point. We had our middle school kids wrestle the state championships this past weekend. Crushed it. Like 5 state champs, a few other second placers, a ton of other kids that placed. Definitely seeing a lot of improvement in our wrestlers. All right. Attacking the far leg. So Saif's asking, I do a head inside single to my right side. So most of the time, this is my opponent's back leg. Is it bad to attack the back leg? I can't bring that leg forward. Do I have to shoot to the near leg instead? So teach you guys some basics of wrestling right now. All right. I'll throw this up on the stand or the desk for you guys. So I'm going to teach you guys a little concept about attacking the lead leg. All right. So when you guys wrestle, you guys are going to want to put one leg forward and the other back. Some people switch lead legs, but in general, you want one leg forward pretty much at all times. The only time I'll switch lead legs is if I'm doing a certain attack with that leg forward. Maybe I'm digging maybe I'm a right lead, right? I dig an underhook. I might step my left leg forward to hit a throw by. But in general, my right leg's forward, my left leg's back because I'm a righty. This makes it very difficult for people to attack my back leg. And I really don't recommend shooting to the back leg. So you have to find a way to get them to step forward or to step this leg back. Even just square up a little bit. What I mean is the person's leg is super far back. You really shouldn't be shooting at this leg. But if you can find a way to set up where it comes a little forward at least, ideally it comes way forward and you can attack it, you need to. You can't be shooting at a leg this far back. So you could fake at this leg, they down block, attack this leg. You can push into them really hard, and then when they push back, you can kind of pull them forwards, and they'll end up stepping, and as they step, you shoot. Those are kind of the main ways. Either you're going to fake at this leg, they down block, you attack here, or you're going to build some pressure up and kind of pull when they push into you, and they'll end up stepping a little bit, and you can attack that lead leg. That's why it's really important, you guys, to have multiple shots. You guys need to have an attack to both sides. A single to one side, a high crotch to another. You can't just be good at one shot. Because if say you wrestle on me and you love a high crotch, but I'm a lefty. The reality is you don't have a good attack to this leg. If you don't have a single leg or, something over to here, you're not going to be able to take me down because all you have is your high crotch to this leg. So you have to have a shot to each leg. One can be better than the other. That's not the biggest deal. They don't have to be evenly, equally good, but that it's important to have a shot to both sides. Okay. All right. We got 40 more minutes here. I'm gonna answer any questions you guys have. So feel free to throw them in the chat if you need to, or, just listen. Got plenty of questions inside the academy to answer. And I did, if you guys, see the link on the chat. That's our merch store. That's gonna be open till February 9th, this Sunday, I think, Super Bowl Sunday. Zachary's asking about a Quarter Nelson video. I think if you search Iron Faith Quarter Nelson, I'll have a video on that. I don't think I've made a full entire video on it. Maybe, I think I had it in the front headlock video I did. All right, Nick's asking about leg riding. How do you get deeper on a leg ride? Because whenever I do it, I usually get head hunted because I'm too high and get stacked. Does anyone have any tips? So leg riding, one of the best leg riders right now is Ridge Lovett. That's, if you guys are leg riders, I would go watch Ridge Lovett wrestle. I personally don't prefer doing a cross body ride. The way Ridge Lovett rides legs, you guys are gonna have to visualize with me, but pretend like my opponent is down like this. A cross body ride, I have a leg in and I'm perpendicular to my opponent. I don't think that style of leg riding is the best. I think a better style is doing what's called a short boot. So say again, my opponent's like this, I'm on top, I throw my first leg in, and it's very short. My toes on the mat, it's not wrapped around the person's ankle, and I ride my leg riding directly on top of them with my knees pinched on either side of their hips, and my opposite leg that's not in is actually back hooking their ankle. I think that's a better leg riding position. I think you have a lot better chance of breaking them flat, and it's a lot hard to you have a lot better chance of breaking them flat, and the best leg riding turns are once you break the person flat. Those are the best ways to turn somebody. Okay. All right. See what other questions we got. I don't know if you guys ever seen, this is our Warwick location. For those of you who ever want to come down here for a camp, we have all of our members on the wall. We do little photos of them, throw them up on the wall, put them in order of best to worst. All right. See what else we got. All right. Genesis is saying she does a Granby roll. So I don't know if any of you guys know what a Granby roll is, but a Granby roll looks like this. You're on bottom and you use this roll. I mean, that's a little different variation, but essentially you're rolling on top of your shoulder blades and you end up getting out. So for the Granby roll, one of the most important things is not getting your legs caught. So when you're on bottom, your opponent is on top of you with their back leg up. Maybe they're arm chopping or they're spiral riding, but they have their back leg up and their other knee on the side of you. You need to make sure the leg that's behind you is not in between your legs. So you're on bottom. You're thinking about hitting this Granby roll. You're looking for the opportunity to hit this roll, but you realize your opponent's foot is in between your ankles. Your opponent's foot is in between here. If that's the case and you go to hit your Granby roll, you're going to get put on your back and give up back points. Or at least, at the most, you end up being flat in your stomach. So all you have to do is just, we call windshield wipe your ankles out of the way before you hit the roll. So you guys will have to use your imagination. I don't have one of my wrestlers here to demonstrate, but we'll pretend like I'm on bottom. All right, my opponent's on top. Their foot is in between my legs. All I'm going to do is just take my legs and move them like this. I'm going to windshield wipe them out of the way so that my opponent's foot that used to be right here when I windshield ends up being not in between my legs anymore, but on the outside. Once you're there, you can hit the Granby roll without any risk of getting caught on your back. All right. Answering all my questions inside my academy. If you guys have any other questions, though, feel free to ask. Got about 30 more minutes left. All right. I had Daniel asking about freestyle and Greco. I know like the folk style season is ending pretty soon, and are you guys going to be training freestyle? I know our club is. We're going to be doing freestyle from April, May, June, maybe 3.5 months or so. And I think there's a lot of value in it. I didn't train freestyle until college, and I think it's fun. I think it's especially if you have a goal of maybe wrestling in Fargo or the Olympics, or making a world team, you're gonna have to train freestyle. And most of the time, the guys that are best in freestyle are the guys that are the best in folk style. It's also, what you're seeing a lot of times, the best high school wrestlers are going into these open freestyle tournaments and beating Division I national champs, world team members. So the one thing freestyle allows you to do, is maybe only for like the top 1% or point whatever percent. It allows you to compete against really, really good wrestlers. Think about it. You're a high school wrestler, and you're like a Jax Forrest or a Bo Bassett. You're the best in the state, you're best in the country. You don't really have too much competition. Where would they compete to challenge themselves? What tournaments could they compete at? For folk style, maybe they can do an open, but a lot of times that's during the high school season, and maybe they can't get to that tournament. And the opens aren't that, sometimes they're tough, but a lot of times some of the opens aren't actually as tough as you think. What I mean by that is these random college opens, it's not like they're the best guys in Division I. Maybe the Southern Scuffle, or the Cliff Keen Invitational, but the Cliff Keen Invitational is an invitational tournament. Like, high school kids can't even wrestle at it. My point being is, if you're training freestyle as a high school wrestler, you can go wrestle at like senior level competition, like US Open and all these like qualifying tournaments. And if you qualify, you can go to the world team trials for the senior level. So the nice thing with freestyle, if you're training it, and it just depends on what you want to do, but the reason why these best wrestlers in the country are training freestyle, or one of the reasons, is they're able to go compete in these really, really high level tournaments and continue to accelerate and continue to push themselves. I know most of us aren't really in that situation where we have to go and seek out senior level competition to get any good looks, but some of these high school athletes are at that point. All right. All right, we got Simon's asking the competition mindset. This is more of a mindset question. That's what I like to hear. I like that you're repping the shorts out in Germany. How'd you end up doing the last tournament? You said you won forgot what it was called. Like like some European tournament. Is that what happened? Let's see. Oh, that's killer. It's awesome. So yeah, Simon's asking a mindset question. I don't know if any of you guys have mindset issues. We do mindset calls inside of our premium academy for our athletes. Super, super important. to have your mindset in check. What I believe is having your mindset figured out allows you to wrestle at your potential. I remember a lot of athletes that would be so good in practice. They'd come into the practice room, they're crushing kids. When they step out into the match and competition, they can't perform. They freeze up. They wrestle really poorly. And what I believe is that has to be a mindset problem. So it's really important you guys get your mindset, in check and work on that and develop that so you're able to wrestle at your peak. Now, Simon's asking about, he's a jiu-jitsu competitor actually. So he says, I'll be competing in jiu-jitsu soon, and I'd like to hear some mindset advice from wrestlers. I don't know if there's much difference between jiu-jitsu mindset and wrestling mindset. I mean, it's such a big topic for just general stuff, but we did a mindset call last weekend, and we talked about actually it was Friday. We talked about how to prepare mentally for a competition. And one of the things that we talked about was as you're warming up for a match, so say you're up in 3 matches and you're pacing back and forth, what things should you be thinking about before you step on the mat? Well, one of the things you should be thinking about is the techniques that you're good at, the techniques you're going to hit in the match. You don't have to play out the whole match. I don't think you should, but you should be thinking, get to my underhook or get to my double leg, or get to my single leg. Think about the techniques and the positions you're very good at, and those things should be running through your head. Hand fight hard, stay in a good stance, actions that you're actually going to take. You shouldn't be thinking of the outside factors, not who you're going to wrestle, not how the match went last time you wrestled the kid, or anything in the future or past. You have to be locked in right where you're at. Not what your parents are going to think when you win or lose, none of that stuff. Or what if you win, what if you lose? You got to be in the present, thinking about the techniques you're going to hit in 5-6 minutes, getting your feet moving, getting warmed up, and getting focused on being in the present. That's my little advice as far as mindset goes for that, especially for those competitions. All right. Where do you guys think Bo Bassett's going to commit? I don't know, man. Where do I think he should go? I think he should go to Penn State or Oklahoma State. But that's my opinion. Let me know if anybody. I don't know if anybody's a Bo Bassett fan. If I was Bo Bassett, if I was the best or whatever, one of the best high school wrestlers right now, where would I go? I'd probably go to Penn State or Oklahoma State. Is anybody an Iowa fan? I'm not really. I would say I'm not too big into the Iowa system, but they obviously have a lot of success. All right. How can I get fully focused? All right. See if there's any other questions. All right. Recovery 1. As far as recovery goes, my recommendation for recovery would be I think sleep's probably your best bet. So if you're looking to recover after a lot of training, I personally think sleep's the best thing you can do. Sleep, eating, drinking enough. It's getting nutrition and sleeping are really about it. I mean, you could stretch, you could do you could roll your back out and stuff like that. But I would say sleeping and eating is I need to sleep. I woke up at 5:00 this morning with my son going nuts. But I got a bunch of practices today, so Don't got time to sleep. Let's see if we got any other questions I'm missing. One of my athletes, Andrew's asking about escaping from the front headlock when the person locks their hands. So in general, you get out from a front headlock by controlling the tricep. So a front headlock, the person has your chin, they have your head kind of wrapped like this, they have your tricep. The hand that's wrapped around the chin, you're going to control that tricep. And you want to reach as high up into the armpit as possible. The more control you have on it, the better chance you have of getting free. You also want to keep your elbow tight to your side. That way they can't dig an underhook. Because if I have the front headlock and they start grabbing my arm, I'm going to try to switch to an underhook position to snap you down and go behind. So elbows tight to your side. You're grabbing up into his armpit and tricep and pulling it in. You're working up to your feet. And then I like to post on my opponent's leg to help push myself free. Drags are fine. That's not a bad option. Doing like an arm drag out of it almost. It's called a sucker drag. That's a great way to get out of the front headlock. But if somebody's really good at the front headlock and they lock their hands together, it is so hard to get free from that front headlock. So a lot of times you got to be patient and slowly make improvements, wait for them to look to score. Because in general, they won't be able to score unless they unlock their hands. So so you're being patient and maybe you're even waiting. If you know you can't get free, you're waiting for them to unlock their hands so you can slip free from that front headlock position. All right, we got a quad pod question. So quad pod stand up. This is what I believe is the best way to escape. I can show you guys kind of what that looks like. So when you're on bottom, this is what I believe is the best stand up. All right, I'll put this down a little bit. All right. So this is how I used to wrestle on bottom. I'd get out 90% of the time with this technique. I would sit with my butt low. I used to sit in front of, watch TV and try to sit on the floor in between my heels. That's how low I wanted to be. I don't recommend this option. To me, it doesn't there's too many. The only pro for this option is you can explode up to your feet faster. There's a lot of negatives though. Your butt's higher in the air, which puts more weight on your hands. So I prefer this method here. Then when the referee blows the whistle, normally whatever side they're on, they're either going to chop or spiral to. So my hands go to that side and my toe sticks out to that side. So it'll just be like this. Oh. I shift my weight and they're trying to drive me over this way and I'm pushing myself back to resist that pressure. They go to crossface, I dip my head down. They go to do a head lever, my elbow goes down. I'm just defending everything, shifting my weight, making sure they don't break me flat. Then I start rotating my inside leg up. They're going to be on the side. Yeah, they can cradle. You keep your head up. All right. They can do one move. They can do cradle pretty much. So the nice thing, you know what they're going to try to do. So it's just got to be ready for it. Outside knee comes under a little bit. Okay. And then if I can, I'll seal off, start working up to my feet. And then I want the person to be on the side of me. So ideally, my opponent is on the side of me. He's not directly behind me. From here, I attack the hands, block, don't let him lock his hands together, and I turn. If you guys don't know the quad pod stand up, the tripod stand up, a bit of time to get. But it's faster than any other move, Faster, I think, is the best way to get out versus any other technique. So I would do it. All right. If we got anything else. Is there any other moves you guys want to see some solo moves? Let's see what else we got. Uh, I had one of my parents asking about Penn State. They were saying, why do you think Penn State is so good? Why do you think Penn State, is dominating the college scene right now? I'm not I don't obviously don't have all the answers because I'm not didn't wrestle there, but one of my opinions with the Penn State is, I guess compare it to like a program like Iowa. As far as skill wise, they get similar recruits, right? Iowa great wrestlers. Okay. I think Penn State may do a better job of picking better wrestlers, but maybe not just better wrestlers. I think some of the things outside of wrestling are super important. I think if you're like hiring somebody as an employee or you're recruiting somebody, there's things outside wrestling, characteristics about a person that you're trying to pick to fit your culture, right? To you've seen in other athletes that this kid will make progress and be a good fit for the team. So I think Penn State, I feel like just because all the kids are very similar with a lot of their mindset. Maybe it's taught there, maybe it's them already having some of that mindset coming into the room, but not afraid of losing, very offensive. There's a couple people that aren't offensive. Most of them are, attacking a lot, very offensive. They they have variety, right? They look like each of them look like totally different wrestlers. Although they're all offensive, they all have different techniques. And, you know, I think that they're a little more laid back than Iowa, right? Like Iowa, I think would be like that. Just basically like seeing the coach, I would say he's probably the guy that's like yelling at you a little more, right? But I think he's, you know, the Iowa coach is probably still a great guy, I'm guessing. I just think like the Penn State coaching room is probably more laid back. There's more freedom to pick and choose. I think they go heavier with the technique and less with the being a tough minded necessarily. Like I think Iowa's big into just like being tougher. I think Penn State plays a little more into that technical role. Like they focus more on that. They're experimenting. They're really trying to get their better. That's one of the things I think. Because it's not just they're getting the best, they're getting the best guys. But when Cale Sanderson took over, Penn State wasn't I don't think they were a top 3 program. I think Iowa was ahead of them, and so it's that culture, it's that development that also Cale is bringing to the table. All right. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Feel free to leave them in the chat. So we got our merch store open until February 9th. So if you guys are interested in picking up some Iron Faith t-shirt or rocking our singlets, I put the link right over here. It's going to close this Sunday. So if you guys, I know a lot of people ask about getting t-shirts, getting stuff, but we only open up stores like every quarter, so it's not like we have a store that's always open. I don't know if I have any more questions in the online academy that I can see right now from this past week. So anything else though? Yeah, I think that should be it, you guys. Hopefully you guys got a lot from this. This will be uploaded after the fact, so you guys can always rewatch it. I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Come with questions. I'm here to help you guys out. I'm excited to see you guys crush at the end of this year. and definitely excited for the freestyle season coming up. But I'll see you guys next week.